Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the historic Oak Tree Pond. Could we have a round of applause for our JP Brass Ensemble? They sound absolutely terrific. We want to thank you so much. We'll be playing some more music a little later in the program. I want to thank everybody for coming. We did move our time from 2 o'clock to now because we know it's going to be a hot day, but that did not stop anybody from coming out this morning. We have a lot of people here from a lot of different places in New Jersey, and one of our residents even came from as far as California to be here today for this historic event. So I want to welcome everyone. At this time, I'd like to bring up Joe Coyle, Councilman Joe Coyle, for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Halt. Left face. Color guard. Present colors.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
We have a recent graduate of Edison High School who sang our national anthem at our Memorial Day parade. And we're happy to have her back, privileged to have her back. Please welcome Amy Boslett.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Post colors. Right face. Forward march.
Thank you. Please be seated. I think everyone can understand why we invited Amy back. Again, can we have another round of applause for Amy Boslett? Fantastic. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to introduce our mayor, Sam Joshi.
Good morning, everyone. I just I'm very glad we changed it from 2 p.m. to 10 a.m., so it's a lot cooler. And I'm very glad the decision was made. But I want to thank you all for coming out here today because this is a historic location that it could have really changed and did shape a lot of the Revolutionary War as well as American history. And it's something that we have to preserve and recognize. The more that we do this, we want people to know Edison's history. Edison has such deep history, not just with the Revolutionary War, but quite frankly, throughout all the wars of America, especially with Camp Kilmer and all of that. But these are things that are so important because you don't know where you're going to go unless you know where you came from. And so for everyone that came out here today to maintain this, to preserve this space, to dedicate this space on this historic anniversary, thank you all for coming out here today. I want to thank the band as well for doing an outstanding job, and the Sons of the Revolutionary War, the Sons, actually everyone that came out here that helped put this together. Thank you so much. We will continue to recognize and appreciate and remember our history, our deep history here in Edison Township. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor started to acknowledge one or two of the groups that are here. And just to let you know, when we started this, when we said we were going to do this sign dedication, and I know some of you were here about a year ago. A year ago, we tried to do this, and we did it, and there was a terrible electrical storm. It was lightning from the clouds to the ground, sideways lightning, scary lightning. So what we did was we said, you know what we'll do? We're going to go on the anniversary. We'll wait, and we'll go on the anniversary. And what happened was people started contacting me, and I have to tell you, honestly, I wasn't familiar with the number of groups that we had, but I want to thank everybody for coming out. Right now, we're going to have a number of people say a couple of words about their organization, about being here today. We want to thank you for that. I do want to let everybody know there are programs in the back. You absolutely, positively have to go home with the program, okay? One thing I know about this group, there's a lot of historians and a lot of scrapbookers, okay? You don't want to miss out. You want for your scrapbook. This is a collector's item. The programs are in the back. We also have water in the back. Behind the band, we have a cooler with ice cold water. If at any time in the next few minutes you get warm, you have water available to you. Okay, at this time, it's my pleasure, my honor to bring up our town historian, a member of more groups than I can recite, and a personal friend of mine, Walt Stoschel.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mayor, council members, and invited guests. Welcome to the Oak Tree section of Edison. During the winter of 1777, this part of New Jersey was occupied by the British Army. The American Army was safely up in Morristown, protected by the Watchung Mountains. In the spring of 1777, the British General Howe tried various maneuvers to lure the Americans out of the mountains and into the plains of the Raritan Valley, then engage in what the British thought would be a decisive battle against the Americans. After failing to do so at Bound Brook, at Somerset County Courthouse, Howe decided to withdraw the British Army from New Jersey to Staten Island. Seeing this, the Americans moved out of the Watchung Mountains to observe and harass the British forces. On June 25th, the main American army moved to Quibbletown, and General Washington set up his headquarters at the Drake House in Plainfield. General Sullivan and his troops were positioned in southern Piscataway. General Morgan's troops were sent to Woodbridge, and here on the short hills was Lord Stirling with 5,000 troops. Howe, seeing that the Americans had moved out of the protection of the Watchungs, stopped his withdrawal and developed a new plan. During the night of the 25th, the British crossed back from Staten Island. In the pre-dawn of the 26th, 13,000 British troops began to march in two columns from Perth Amboy to attack the Americans at Quibbletown. The right column, under the command of Lord Cornwallis, started marching from Woodbridge first. The left column, under the command of General Vaughan, started later and went through Bonham Town and Metuchen. At dawn, Cornwallis skirmished with Morgan in the area of Strawberry Hill and Woodbridge. Morgan retreats and alerts Stirling that the British were on their way. The British then marched west on Oak Tree Road and skirmished with the retreating Americans along the way. Hearing of the British approach, the women and children of the Oak Tree neighborhood hid in the barn on the nearby Blackford farm, where at the beginning of the battle, a cannonball crashed through the barn. By the time the Cornwallis columns gets to this corner, they come under cannon fire from Stirling's troops in the hills to the west over here. Seeing the Americans in the hills, Cornwallis turns his army and attacks that way. The British capture the 3 American cannons, the Americans counterattack, recapture them, and over the next hour, the British attack, the Americans counterattack, and slowly fall back to Inman Avenue, where the British split the American lines, with some going to Quibbletown in the west and some going to east and Scotch Plains and up the Bloody Gap into the Watchung. Alerted to the British advance, Washington and his army moves up to the Watchungs, where he watches the battle from Washington Rock. Seeing the Americans were moving up to the mountains and they could not attack them, the British turned and marched to Westfield, looting and burning along the way. 3 days later, the British leave New Jersey for good. June 26th was a very hot day like it is today. If you were here on this site 247 years ago at 10 a.m., you would be witnessing a Revolutionary War battle. The Reuben Ayres farmhouse, which stood right here, was looted. The barn was burning, and 10,000 British troops marched through this intersection. While Washington was not on this site, Lord Cornwallis, who surrendered to Washington in 1781, was. This site remained as it was until 1999, when there was a plan to build a 19,000 square foot shopping center and a chain drugstore on this site. The residents of the neighborhood banded together under the name STOP to save the Oak Tree Pond. They were environmental activists like Jane Towsman and Bob Spiegel, historians George Stillman and Ann Walker, World War II veterans Dave Poklembo, Al Lawrenson, Elmer Beck, and Frank Greco, and Andy Matajewski, and many others. Some who are here today, such as Jim and Dom the Hemonstrate from California, Linda Penagos, and Ann Walker. For the next 2 years, they fought the development before the planning boards, council, in-state courts, federal courts, which resulted in the site being preserved by the township with state and county funding. But our research into the battle continued for the next 14 years, including archaeological work, which actually uncovered artifacts from the battle. In 2014, recognizing the importance of this battle, the Battle of the Short Hills, the National Park Service placed this site and properties on Woodland Avenue on the National Register of Historic Places. Then the American Battlefield Protection Program in 2020 and 2021 provided funding for the preservation of 20 more acres on Woodland Avenue. The efforts to save this site have led to preservation of 137 acres of the battlefield, and if you include the National Register properties of the Country Club, 318 acres of the battlefield are protected. This is the third largest battlefield that is protected from the Revolutionary War in New Jersey. As someone who worked on these efforts to recognize the battle and save these sites, I worked with the late township grant writer Chris Mazauskas to get this sign and commemorate these events. I'm glad we are here to do this today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Walter. As always, we appreciate your history and your history knowledge and you sharing that with us. I want to take this opportunity to recognize Councilman John Pointer. John, if you stand up, this is a councilman here in Edison, for those of you who don't know. And we want to thank Joe Coyle and John Pointer for coming out today. It's really their efforts on the town council that allows us to do a ceremony like this. Because when we do this ceremony, we incorporate a lot of township resources. I see our chief of police is here, Tom Bryan. If we could have a round of applause for Tom. Our fire chief, Andy Toth. I want to acknowledge you, Andy. We want to thank our fire department for that American flag that is displayed across the road here. We're thinking about having him actually come up here, but those trucks are pretty heavy, so we left it on the macadam back there. We want to thank the police department and the fire department and the council for their efforts. I'll be thanking more groups as we go on. At this time, I'd like to bring up Ken McKeever, who represents several groups, and I'll have him explain that.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you to our dignitaries that are here and everyone that was mentioned, the band. I'm the president of the Sons of the Revolution in New Jersey. I'm also in other organizations, including the Sons of the American Revolution. And I want to say thank you for the Color Guard for being here and for the Daughters of the American Revolution for being here. When I say I'm in other groups, I'm a member of the Society of the Cincinnati, which represents the officers who served in the Continental Line for at least 3 years. Another group, the descendants of the founders, or the Order of Founders and Patriots of America. That group, you have to have someone that fought in the Revolutionary War, as well as had been here before 1650. So there are a lot of folks that are interested in our history and preserving it. I'm a professor up at Rutgers, and I work with horses. I'm not a historian. But somehow I try and weave the story into all my classes. Our state animal is the horse, so that's sort of an entry point to start talking about the history. So I want to say thank you for letting me be here to say a few words on behalf of the Sons of the Revolution, and thank you for this wonderful weather and this day.
Thank you, sir. It was kind of an interesting couple weeks that we had planning this, because several of the speakers that we have this morning I've never met, and I really was not familiar with their groups. And around town, as we started putting this together, they were saying, well, what historical groups do you have? I said, well, we have a lot of them. We have the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Sons of the American Revolution, the Sons of the American Revolution, and the Crossroads of the American Revolution. All these groups. So we want to thank them all for coming. At this time, I'd like to bring up Carrie Fellows, who's the executive director of the Crossroads of the American Revolution.
Thanks so much, Bob, and thank you for having us here today. I just wanted to give a shout out to Jim Hebenstreit, who called me back in, I want to say, April, to make me aware that this dedication, hi Jim, to make me aware that this dedication was going to happen and fill me in on some of the amazing work that he and the other community members did to make this happen. Crossroads of the American Revolution is a nonprofit that administers the New Jersey's only National Heritage Area of the same name. It's Crossroads of the American Revolution National Heritage Area. And we are engaged in planning for New Jersey's 250th birthday celebration of the United States in July of 2026. Our partners are the New Jersey Historical Commission, who are not here today, but we're representing. So Crossroads, really, and national heritage areas in general, their goal is to use the grassroots work and efforts and passion of people like you all who bring these stories about our past to life. And Crossroads of the American Revolution is New Jersey. Washington and his army crisscrossed this state up and down, back and forth, crossways, 8 ways to Sunday, all throughout the entire period of the American Revolution. And this battle that took place over such a huge swath of farmland is one of the more than 600 battles, skirmishes, raids, and acts of war that happened all throughout that period in New Jersey. And we are claiming more than any other state in the original 13 colonies during the American Revolution of those acts. We have a little bit of a match with South Carolina because they're claiming it too, but ours are way better documented. So, but I just wanted to thank you all for your work, because this new marker will show our visitors, the visitors that are coming to our state now and as we go through the period of the commemoration of the American Revolution, what its significance was. So that these people, these men and I'm sure refugees, families, and women who followed the armies took part in the action, and the after action happened here. And markers like this let people know that, what is here? What is this? What is this park? It's nice, it's pretty, it's a great oasis next to the pond, but why is it here? And your marker is making sure that everybody knows why it's here and why this action was significant in the American Revolution. Thanks so much.
Huzzah! Thank you, Carrie. So well said and so accurate in that this was the crossroads. These were the crossroads of the revolution, New Jersey. So we're not going to count South Carolina. Now, it's us. And I appreciate you saying that because we're going to claim that. Okay, not only are we the crossroads of the American Revolution, but I guess we have more battle sites than anybody else and more took place in New Jersey than anywhere else. Thank you for that information. At this time, I'd like to bring up from the Daughters of the American Revolution, Susan Luxu.
Thank you, Bob. I am happy to be here today to represent and bring greetings from the Daughters of the American Revolution and be a part in the dedication of this plaque to mark this moment in our history. I am a member of the Jersey Blue chapter based at Buckaloo Mansion in New Brunswick. A side note, Buckaloo Mansion was occupied by British troops during the Battle of Banbrook. They left in June of 1777. They withdrew back to Perth Amboy before they came to the Battle of Short Hills, yes. And if you visit Buckaloo Mansion, which is open for tours, you will see the damage that is still visible today on the second and third floors of the mansion. Saber marks on the stair rails, marks on the actual flooring where they would be cleaning their muskets and hit the end of the gun on the floor to clear out any dust or whatever was in it. So we are well aware that the British were there and the British withdrew. Our state organization of New Jersey DAR has 45 chapters in New Jersey, from Sussex County in the north to Cape May County in the south. In addition to lineage research, we are active in each local chapter area in community service, marching in patriotic parades and activities, working with veterans, and promoting education in local schools, in addition to many various service events and activities. We also take pride in presenting youth citizenship awards through the ROTC at Rutgers and to local Boy Scout, Eagle Scout Court of Honors. I'm doing 2 down in Oakhurst on Sunday this week. We are very pleased to have been invited to today's ceremony. Thank you again, Bob, for reaching out, and thank you for welcoming our participation.
I want to thank Joan McNichol for coordinating some of this with me this week, these last couple of weeks. I heard she was in Washington. Okay, we have 2 people here. Okay, come on up.
Stand to be recognized, ladies.
Come on up. If you're from that group, I'd like you to come up. I'll let you introduce yourselves and the organization.
Good morning, my name is Karen Keithler, Mattashoni, Rebecca Cornell chapter. And I am Janina Benjamin of the Mattashoni Rebecca Cornell chapter, based out of
Thank you for being here. Okay, one of the real visuals of this morning certainly was having soldiers with the color guard and the colors coming and presenting the colors. This gentleman was with us a year ago in the electrical storm. I'd like to bring him up, Jay Hershey.
Thank you, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here with all of our fellow history groups. The Sons of the American Revolution are well represented with chapters all over the state, represented here in our color guard today. I personally thank each of them for attending and for inviting us to be a part of this ceremony. The weather is remarkably better than last year's attempt. Thank God for that. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, Jay. Folks, in a couple minutes, we are going to go over where the sign is, and the mayor and our council members will unveil the sign for us. Before we do that, I do want to thank the Department of Public Works for putting this together. Do we have a round of applause for our Department of Public Works? Our Recreation Department, we want to thank them also. We want to thank, I already said it, Police and Fire. Our communications team, Brian and Ashley. If we could have a round of applause for Brian and Ashley. And certainly Edison Television, Edison TV. You'll be able to see this. You'll be able to watch this. You can go online and watch this ceremony. It will become a nice remembrance, a nice memento of what happened here this morning. We do have a couple minutes before we go to the sign. At this time, I'd like to call up Amy Boslett again for, I think she's going to sing God Bless America. Come on up.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Before we move over, I want to thank once again our J.P. Stevens Brass Ensemble under the direction of John Zazali. Thank you. I understand after the unveiling, as we exit, they'll be playing a few more songs for us, a couple more numbers, and we really appreciate it. It sounded so beautiful. At this time, before we move over to the unveiling, we have Gavin Kaspersky, who will play taps. Thank you, Gavin. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if we would like to just move on down the path where the picnic tables are, we can stay in the shade too, and I'll ask our mayor and the council members to come over to the sign for the formal unveiling.
5, 4,